The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to The Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget.
Welcome back to The Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us here a special guest. His name is Elliot Katz, and we are here to speak about being the strong man a woman needs. Elliot, he's an author, speaker, and a coach. Hi, Elliot.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to know, what does it truly mean to be a strong man in today's world, and how has that definition evolved over time?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I really think what it means to be a strong man today is what it's meant to be a strong man years ago. Well, absolutely. And I think part of the problem is that in the media today and everywhere else, we hear these ideas about toxic masculinity, about, strong men being misogynist, or, that's not what it means. A strong man is someone who takes initiative, shows his share of leadership, takes charge in situations, takes responsibility, and makes his wife or his girlfriend feel safe and protected. And that's really what it's always meant. It's unfortunate that today so many men hear these messages about, controlling, abusive, toxic, and they think that, well, that's what masculinity is. No, it's not. That's being toxic or controlling. That's not to be a real man. What it means to be a real man is to make your partner feel safe and protected, and that she can look up to you and say, here's a difficult situation. I can depend on my boyfriend, my husband, to step forward and deal with it. It's, so many men today, and I coach men, and they all think, well, I don't want to be toxic or controlling, so I'll just do whatever she says. Whatever she wants, I'll do it. And, a lot of these decisions don't matter to me anyway, so I'm being this great, non-controlling, good guy, and I can't understand why she's so fed up with me and why she wants to divorce me. And I explained to them, because that's not what she wants. Unfortunately, we've all heard these messages. She really wants a man who can make her feel safe and protected. She wants a man who can be a leader, not a controlling tyrant, and not someone that, wants everything his way. It's just someone who can take charge, who can show his share. Like the wording today, they use mental labor, emotional load, who doesn't leave every decision, solving every problem to the woman. Because that way, I've had women say to me that when a man expects her to tell him what to do all the time, it makes her feel like he's a child and she is his mother. She doesn't want to be his mother, and she doesn't want to be intimate with someone she sees as a child.
Yes.
And I can tell you, when I explain this to men, especially divorced men, they say, no one ever told me this. If I had known this when I was married, I probably wouldn't be divorced. And I've had women say the same thing. If my husband had understood this, our marriage would probably not have disintegrated.
But that's a true statement also, so that's good for them to also, it's good for them to know that part. In your opinion, what are some of the key traits women actually look for in a strong man beyond the physical and financial strength?
Well, it's really about being able to take charge and not just leave every decision to her. It starts on the first date. A man calls up a woman, would like to go out Saturday night, and she said, yes, I would. What did you have in mind? And he says, I don't know. What do you want to do? You just blown it right there. You don't, it's not about, you have to do things the man's way. Not at all. But if he comes empty handed, like if he has an idea and she says, well, I have a better idea. I think, sure. They can do that. But if you just say, oh, I don't know, what do you want to do? It makes her feel like, how is this man going to handle the challenges of marriage and family life? If everything is, I don't know, what do you want to do? It's a big turnoff. And men don't realize it. Men think, I'm showing her that I'm a non-controlling good guy. Why doesn't she want to go out with me again?
And I think also, well, not think, I know, women also like men who are vulnerable.
Well, vulnerable in the sense that he can show that he has feelings, that he is.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And, you don't want like a man who has no feelings, but, sometimes it just gets too far to an extreme of like, he's always pouring his guts out to you. and you want to feel like the man is going to make you feel safe and protected. And if he's just like pouring out his guts all the time, I had a hard day at work, okay, once in a while, but if you're every day you come home, one time I was being interviewed and the man says to me, if a man cries, it's a sign of strength, isn't it? And I said, well, it depends. So, if you're someone you love very much has passed away, it's normal. It's natural to cry. You're upset. It's sad. But if you're crying every day, like the woman feels like, how is this person a someone? How is this person the rock that I can lean on?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, then on the flip side, though, a man will feel like, well, he can't share what is happening with him. So it's like, okay, how do you manage that?
Well, that's why you have male friends.
Got you.
That those are the people you could say, hey, I'm having this hard time at work, and they could say, hey, I had a similar experience. Let me tell you what I did. Or if your business is having problems, you could share it. I mean, you can also share it with your wife, but just don't make her feel like, hey, I don't feel safe and protected with him. That's really the key thing.
Very true. How does a man balance being protective and supportive without being too controlling and overbearing?
Well, they're really separate things. Being protective is like when, there's a situation, he says, hey, I see the situation. I have a solution. I think we can do this. And it doesn't mean you don't ask for your wife's input. Of course you ask for her input. Like, this is what I think the solution is. What do you think? You think it's a good idea? And she could say, well, yes. Or maybe, half of it's a good idea. The other half, maybe we could do something different. I mean, she's an intelligent person. That's why you married her. But, but like I say, don't say, oh, we have this problem. What should we do? It's like, you have to come forward with a solution and then invite her thoughts. But that's not being controlling. Controlling is, everything has to be my way. It's my way or the highway. Like, this is what we're doing, and I don't want to hear your input. This is what we're doing. That's not being a partner. You're being partners. Like, partners work together. But the thing is, as a partner, you don't always say, I don't know what to do. Just tell me what you want me to do. So many men, when I talk to them, when I'm coaching them, and they tell me, their marriage is having problems, and they just if they could just figure out what their wife wants, if she'll just tell me what she wants, I'll do it. And I say to them, you know what? You don't get it. That's exactly what she doesn't want. She doesn't want to have to tell you everything. She really expects you to know. And that's the fascinating thing about, my books is that, women think a man should know this. I wrote the second book called How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to. And because women think a man should know this. And if he doesn't take charge, he leaves all the decisions to her, and he doesn't understand how frustrating this is to her, that he's just doing, she says, he knows this is what I want. And I explained to them, he really doesn't know. No one ever taught him. All the media says, just do what your wife tells you. He really doesn't know that you want him to take charge more, and that just coming home and doing whatever he's told is not what to do the work is good, but it's really not what she wants. She wants a man who makes her feel safe and protected. And the women, that's why I wrote this book, because it tells us strategies and techniques how to get your husband to actually wear the pants. So if you ask him, well, what should we do in this situation? And he says, whatever you want, you decide. And you should say to him, What I want is to know what you want. When a man is decisive, I find that very manly. So I would like to hear what you think. What's he going to say? You backed him into the corner. Okay, now I'll tell you. And I coach men. I said, like, men will say to me, she wants me to make all these decisions. They don't really matter to me. Any way she wants, it really doesn't matter. I said, she asks you to make the decision because she wants you to make the decision. And just make the decision. If either way is fine with you, just make the decision. And I tell them this, and then so they do it. And then they say, yeah, she tells me that it makes her feel safe and protected. I said, yeah, that's what she wants. Because this whole generation has raised that women are the same as men. Women can be tough and strong like men. Yeah, in business world and politics, yeah, they can be. But when she's with a man, she wants to feel like a woman. She wants to take charge and make her feel safe and protected. And men don't understand this. They think, well, wait, this isn't the modern 21st century woman. I said, well, this is woman from the beginning of time. This is what we want.
Very true. I want to know, how important is communication in expressing strength within a relationship, and what does healthy communication look like?
Well, I tell people in communication, like men, I say, before you say anything, pause and think, what does she need to hear? How do I have to say this in a way that will that she will respond the way I want to? What does she need to hear? Men sort of know women like to hear things in a certain way, but that you don't always, sometimes you forget because you're angry or upset. No, you have to pause and think clearly and think, what does she need to hear? I used to be a political speechwriter, and I knew that when I was writing a speech for a politician, he had to say things in the way the audience wants to hear it because he wants to get their support. So, it's the same thing when you talk to your wife. Say it in a way that she will feel good about supporting you. And it might not be the way you naturally want to say it. You might want to say, hey, you might want to say it in a critical way. It's not going to get you anywhere. Think about how does she need to hear it to feel good about doing what you want her to do.
Very true. I want you to share an example of how a man's inner struggles, such as pride or fear or insecurity, can interfere with his ability to be able to be a strong partner that a woman needs.
Well, that's a very good point. I think, this is the challenge, right? I mean, we think we're insecure. We think we'll play it safe. We'll just do whatever she wants. I want this woman to want me, so I'll just be this nice guy. And then you turn into a pleaser, and you can't understand, why doesn't she appreciate me? I do everything she wants. I'm just trying to please her. So I think the thing is, it's like in any kind of like growth, personal growth, like, developing courage. Like, what is courage? Courage is doing things that scare you, but doing them anyway, right? And so it's the same thing. You have to think, I have to push myself to grow and to take charge and not feel, one of the reasons men avoid taking charge is they don't want to be criticized, or they think if it goes wrong, they'll get blamed. Well, you know what? That's part of it. You may get criticized. Your partner may blame you if it goes wrong, or even the kicker is like some men will think, well, I'll just do what she wants, and if it goes wrong, I'll blame her. You can't blame me. It's very true. So you have to say, no, I have to push myself to say what I think is the right thing to do. And I may get criticized, I may get undermined, but that's part of it. That's part of being a leader. And you can't just sit back and say, I'll play it safe. And because playing it safe will probably end up, wrecking your relationship.
True. I agree with that. What are some misconceptions men have about what women want from them in a relationship that leads to problems?
Men really think, well, I want her to like me. I don't want to. If I can just do enough to please her. I've met so many men who will tell me how they've done so much to please their wives, and then their wives want a divorce, or their marriage is falling apart. Men who have gotten in over their heads financially to pay for all the things their wives want, and then, hey, I'm killing myself to pay for all these things. Why is she not only she doesn't appreciate me, she's against me. And the reality is, like, because that's not what she wants. She really wants a strong man who takes charge is that if he, if the wife wants something, hey, you know what? We can't afford this right now. And he's smart enough to know that, if he gives in and pays for it and he's going to be in over his head financially, that financial stress will do a lot of damage, can do a lot of damage to his marriage. And he better just say, no, we can't afford it right now. And if she screams and yells and cries, it doesn't change your financial situation. You have to say, no, sorry, right now we can't afford it. You have to be, and then you're saving your marriage because one of the biggest causes of divorce is financial stress, right? Financial problems.
Yes.
So you have to say, no, we can't afford it. And even women have said that to me. When a man has spent recklessly to please her, she says, well, he could have said no. I didn't realize what our situation is. I didn't realize what he was doing to pay for all these things, putting on additional mortgage on the house. I've heard that. So you have to be strong and do what's right. And ultimately she will respect you for it.
True. You just have to do it. You just have to do it. Just be the leader. Because as you said, if it is that he backing away from things and not wanting to, then a woman can't respect a man who she doesn't see as a leader.
Exactly. It's, and it's nothing new. If you look at my book isn't religious, but if you look at the story in Genesis of Adam and Eve, Adam is, they have one commandment, don't eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge. And Eve eats it, and then she pressures Adam to eat it. And he gives in. And God says to him, Adam, did you eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge I commanded you not to eat? And what does he say? He says,
as the woman you gave me.
I'll tell you, on my own journey seeking wisdom, when I read that story, it was like a kick in the head for me because I said, I thought only men today did that. They gave in to something they know is wrong, and then they blame their wife. So you can't give in. You can't. And then he says, does God say, oh, you poor thing, you poor victim of your wife, which is what they want to say? Oh, I'm a victim of my wife. She ran up, $100,000 on the credit cards. But nobody has any sympathy for it because why did you let it go on?
True.
So don't think anybody's going to have sympathy for you when you blame your wife for, reckless spending or something else. They'll say, you're the man. Why did you let it go on?
True.
You have children. How could you let her spend so much money? It's nobody's sympathy for you. And then the story of Adam and Eve, right? Does God have sympathy for him? No, he punishes him for listening to his wife without using his judgment.
Exactly. Yep.
It's like, read that. So, well, nothing has changed. Isn't that true, Jade? Isn't that true?
Nothing has changed.
When I read that, it's like, this was like what I've heard from so many men.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely nothing has changed. Oh my goodness. If there was one piece of advice that you would give to men striving to be a strong man for who a woman truly wants, what would it be?
The most important thing is to realize you have to work on yourself to be stronger. Don't say, as men have said to me, well, how could I be the leader if my wife doesn't let me? He says, you know what? She doesn't have to let you. She wants you to lead, and you just have to lead. And then, at first you may be surprised, but you just have to keep on leading because that's what she wants, and that's what's going to save your relationship. And don't think, the only solution is my wife has to change. He said, you have to change yourself, and then she will respond differently to you when you have changed yourself. So many people make that mistake, thinking the only solution is for my wife to change. You know what? If you want to change a situation, you have to change yourself, and you'll see. Like people who have read my books or that I've coached will say, yeah, she acts so much different now. She really appreciates. It's like it's because she comes so loving and respectful to me. Yeah, because that's what you become, the man that she really wants.
I want to add something to it though. I want to add that men will listen to their wives, what is said and what's not said. Yes, because women complain a lot that men don't listen and things are being repeated. And sometimes we want men to be in tune with us so that if something is happening or whatever, we don't have to. We're telling them you figure it out because you realize your wife. This is my wife and something must have happened why she's like this. So I want men to listen to us, what is being said and what's not being said. kind of be in tune with us to show that you are invested and you are interested in us. Also, I would encourage men to not shut down. When women are sharing what is happening with them and how they feel, men will shut down and don't want to have conversations. Have tough conversations. Women want to work things out, to have the tough conversations. And a woman is not coming to you to have tough conversations if she doesn't love you or she's not invested in you. So that's another thing. And I'm gonna emphasize again about men just being a little bit more vulnerable, showing that you have emotions, showing that you care. If things affect you, be open enough to say it. Voice the opinion on it. Women want to hear it also. And women also want to be there to support and to love on you. So yeah, those are some of the other things I'd add to that.
I agree. I think, but just like I think men have to think about how they say things to get the response they want, I think often women also have to think about how they say things because, I think one time, I think what's really important, like men really want to make a woman happy. And she doesn't feel like she's happy or she's just criticizing him. The thing is really not to criticize him, but to say it in a way that shows you want to help him. I think there's a big difference. Like you're not criticizing him. You're saying, here, I think, let me help you do it this way. Or have you thought of doing it this way? Instead of saying, the way you did it really didn't work.
It really sucked. The way you did it really sucked. Don't say that.
I don't it really stinks, but yeah, because as a man and other men, you work hard and you want to provide a good life for your wife and your family. And if you just get criticized, it's very dispiriting. But if she comes across as your helper and you say, hey, have you thought of doing it this way? I have an idea. Maybe we could do that this way. Okay. You want to help me. But if you just want to criticize, men feel like, well, why am I trying so hard if you're just criticizing me?
True.
And also to recognize when they do something good. And I mean, both. A man should recognize his wife when she does something good, and a woman should recognize her husband. Like, I really appreciate what you did. That was really great. Thank you. It really helped me a lot. It really helped our family. Makes a person feel good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So those are some of the things that I'd leave. And as Elliot said, how it is that we go about doing it matters. So yeah, that's important too. Yeah. So I want to say thank you so much for sharing with us. I want you to let the audience know where is it that they can find you if they want your books or if it is that they need coaching or they just want to speak to you.
Okay. My website is www.elliotkatz.com. It's ELLIOTT, that's 2 T's, KATZ.com. And my two books are called, one's called Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom for Men on How to Improve Your Relationship. That's for men. And the other one is How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to. And that's for women, but actually both men and women read each. And they both learn from because actually the second book I wrote for women who read the first one said, well, how do I get my man to wear the pants? So that's what that book is for. And if you want to email me directly, it's ElliotRKatz@AOL.com. It's ELLIOTT, 2 T's, like I said, RKATZ@AOL.com. And, if you want to just email me and we can talk, like my goal is really to help prevent divorce and help prevent children being from broken homes. Children from divorced families is so common. We think, well, it must be okay. But really, for each child, it's traumatic. It's really, I think most children would prefer their parents staying together.
Yeah, it would. It would surely do so. So thank you again so much for sharing with us and for giving insights on some of the things that women actually want. So I'm hoping that not just men listen, but also women listen, because this is not only helping men, but also helping women. And it's a conversation starter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you so much. And I want to say thank you so much to our listeners on the Unfiltered by Jade. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you. Bam, bam,